Hello, welcome to the first video of the month of December. In this video, we're going to revise and review um, the first part of Unit 6, which is about mysteries. Okay, so the first of all was an activity about vocabulary, and this vocabulary was specifically about expressions with the word long. Now, there are many ways in which we can use the word long. One of them is we can make allusion to time. Okay, for example, we use long as an adverb in questions and negative clauses to talk about duration. So how long, right? Like, in other words, what time something takes. Be really careful with this because as in the explanation says, this is mainly for questions and negative clauses, such as, how long has Valerie been staying with you? That is a question, right? We are asking for a duration of time. She arrived in January, so she's been here for 4 months. Marco didn't stay long at the party. Don't be long. So all of these are questions and negative clauses, right? No affirmative, right? No affirmative clauses with the word long so far. So whenever we talk about duration of an event, it's with the word long, only if it's questions and negative sentences. The way in which, here it should say warning. Okay, so the way in which we could use it in affirmative sentences would be for a long time, right? Like it says here. We waited for a long time in the rain for the bus. Okay, so we wouldn't say we waited long, right? Waited long. It should be we waited for a long time for it to be correct in an affirmative sentence. They took a long time getting here, not they took long. Okay, so we need to use another phrase, a different phrase in this case. Okay, we continue with time expressions. We can use long in affirmative clauses with to, enough, and so. A month is too long to wait for the appointment. Is too long. We've waited long enough for a reply. I think we need to phone them or call them. You took so long. What were you doing? So all of these are affirmative clauses, but we're using other expressions like to, enough, and so. Okay, continuing with time. When we talk about amounts of time, we can use phrases like time, exactly how much time, and then the word long. Or phrases like all day long and all month long. For example, the lecture was 3 hours, right? So I'm using the time expression. 3 hours and the word long, 3 hours long. It could be 2 days long, a week long, okay? Whatever expression of time plus the word long. We worked all day long. Oops, sorry. So we can use any time expression that we want plus the word long. Continuing with time, we can also use a long time ago, long ago, or long before to refer to a time many years in the past. So this is specifically for the past. This castle was built a long time ago or long ago, all right? So we don't know exactly how many years, but probably a lot of time in the past. Long before you were born, so many years before you were born, there was a factory here. It was closed in the 1960s. We can also use long as an adjective. You're home already. That can have been a very long film, which refers to the fact that the duration of the film was not a lot, right? Probably less than an hour. Now we can talk about the distance, right? Remember that the word long is very versatile. We can use it like we've seen with time expressions, but also with distance expressions. We can use the phrase a long way to talk about distance. my house is a long way from the station. You'll have to take a taxi. It means that the distance is very long, right? Or that the place is very far. It's a long way to the nearest petrol station. Again, it's very far. Let's go with another. Distance again. In negative statements and questions, we usually use far. My house is not far. So instead of using long, we say far. My house is not far from the station. Is it far to the beach? Okay, so when we talk about distance, but in negative statements and in questions, we don't use the word long, we use the word far. We can also talk about length, right? So like the measurement of something. For example, it was 3 meters long and 4 meters wide. Sorry, this is British spelling. This is how British write meters. This is how Americans write meters. Sorry about that. So it was 3 meters long and 4 meters wide. So we're referring to the measurements. We're specifying the length of something. How long is the boat, right? So what are the measurements in meters or in centimeters? This is such a long queue. A queue is this line in the picture. It's going to take at least an hour. So we're referring to how long something is, like literally what is the measurement in centimeters or meters or kilometers. And we also have other expressions such as long as. The phrase as long as is used as a conjunction. A conjunction is basically a phrase that puts together two parts of a sentence. And in this case, it means on condition that. As long as the weather is okay, we're going to paint the house tomorrow. So on the condition that the weather is okay, we're going to paint the house tomorrow. It's like a conditional sentence. If the weather is not okay, then they won't paint the house. Jenny said she'd come to the party as long as we don't stay too late. So that's the condition for Jenny to go to the party, that they don't stay too late. So those were the expressions with long. And now we're going to go into the first grammar topic that we saw, which was how to use expressions to indicate purpose. Okay, so the ones that we saw in the book were to, for, and so that. Now, this is really, really important to understand what these are used for. So basically, to talk about purpose or the reason why we do things, this is the key. You need to understand that these expressions are always accompanied by at least one action and then another action or object. And that other action of object is going to indicate to us that like why we did the first action. Now, grammatically speaking, there are three forms we can use. We can use for plus a verb with ing. We can use the infinitive with to, and we can use so that plus a sentence that has a subject and a verb. Not only the verb, it also needs to have a subject. But let's look at some examples. We're going to begin with for. So first, we always have an action or an event. This is going to indicate what happened, what is happening, or what is going to happen in the future. I'm bringing some pots and pans. So this is the fact. This is what's happening. I've got special glasses. This is, again, a fact that is happening. And a thermos flask is, we are going to describe, right? So what happens is that the following part, the one that we express with for, is going to indicate to us the use or the purpose or why the first action or the first part is important. So I'm bringing some pots and pans for cooking, right? So it's not just because, it has a purpose. There's a reason why I'm bringing pots and pans, which is for cooking, ing. I've got a special glasses for reading, small print. So this is the purpose why this person has special glasses. A thermos flask is basically like one of those bottles that keeps your drink hot or cold. A thermos flask is for keeping hot food hot, right? So it's to maintain the temperature of the food. So again, we are expressing the purpose with for plus ing. We could also use for with a noun, which in other words is an object. For example, I went to the kitchen for some coffee. That is the reason, that is the purpose I went to the kitchen for some coffee. We will go to the store for chips and sodas. They have a special folder for their documents. So whatever is in blue in this case, or kind of greenish, this indicates what is the reason we are going to do the other things, or what is the reason the other action happens. We can also have verbs with infinitive too. We've got some water to make tea. This is the reason why we have some water. I went to the shops to buy some milk. That is the reason why I went to the shops. I worked very hard to get a promotion. That was my purpose. That was my goal. And lastly, we have so that. Remember, so that is always accompanied by a subject and a verb. If it's only the verb, it doesn't count. It needs to have a subject as well. I'm taking some extra blankets so that we, subject, don't get verb, so that we don't get cold. I changed my bicycle to the fence so that it, subject, wouldn't get verb, so that it wouldn't get stolen. I worked very hard so that, again, I, subject, would do verb. So there always needs to be a subject and a verb whenever we put so that. Now remember, these sentences have basically the same meaning in Spanish. Let's go back to the first one so that you understand. For example, I'm bringing some pots and pans for cooking. Estoy llevando algunas cacerolas y sartenes para cocinar. Para cocinar. I'm expressing why. This could be the only occasion in which for has a different meaning whenever we mention it with a noun, because it would be something like, fui a la cocina por un poco de café, iremos a la tienda por papas y refrescos, all right? So this is the only occasion when for is used as por and not para. So remember here, I'm bringing some pots and pans, los estoy trayendo para cocinar. Fuimos a la cocina por un poco de café. Infinitive with to, and this is where the confusion can begin. We've got some water to make tea. Tenemos un poco de agua para hacer o para preparar té. So in Spanish, there's no difference between using this for cooking or using this to make. So you need to be careful. You can use whichever you want as long as it makes sense and as long as you follow the grammatical rules. And we also have so that, which also has the same meaning in Spanish. Let's take a look at an example. I'm taking some extra blankets so that we don't get cold. Estoy llevando algunas mantas extra para que no tengamos frío. Para que no tengamos frío. All right. So don't worry too much about the translations right now. I'm much more interested in the fact that you learn how to use it in English and that you follow the grammatical rules correctly. So don't worry too much about the translations now. We're going to check that out in class. For now, this will be your task. This will be your homework for this video. You have this week to complete it, and we'll be checking it next class when we see each other. Okay, so I hope that was clear for you. If you have any questions, let me know in class, and I'll be seeing you soon. Bye.